We've got a program designed called the Perfect Meeting, which is a completely different way of structuring and focusing how you should have a sales call. And I define a sales call or a sales meeting very simply. If you are having any kind of engagement with a prospect or buyer that it's planned and scheduled and that everybody in the room agrees it's for the purpose of selling, you're on a sales call. It can be 15 minutes long. It can be 3 hours long. It can be on the phone, a conference call, it can be a webinar. It can be live in someone's office. As long as those things are being met, I think you're on a sales call. And when you're on that sales call, we'll be sharing with you an approach that you've never seen before. It's designed to specifically do two things. Change the order of the questions of the things you so desperately want answers to, and then change the language around the order of those specific questions so they're more persuasive and they have more influence. That's it. Those are two ideas. They're big ones, but we're going to completely deconstruct and reconstruct how a sales call should look. And it could be for someone who's been in sales for 30 years and someone who's been in sales for 30 minutes. The structure I share is the way I've been handling my own personal sales calls for the last 19 years. And I do it that way because I've yet to see a better approach. Sales is not a series of if-then flow charts. It's not a question of let me give you every possible thing a prospect could ask, and here's your response. And if they say no, go here. If they say yes, go there. We know far too well how unpredictable our customers and prospects are because they're people and because they're not scripted. So any scripted approach to a meeting is probably a poor one. We need structure. We need a real set of guidelines on how to construct a meeting so that we can marshal that customer with some confidence and some resolve so we get all of their questions answered in the order we need them answered. Because it not only gives us a lot more context, we might even get deeper levels of understanding and awareness than we ever would have gotten before. So we're going to mess around with language a little bit and talk about the structure of dynamics and how words are phrased and different ideas between things like pain and pleasure and what motivates people to buy and how you can kind of get to what that motivation is. Sometimes with just a very few short series of words. We're going to actually prepare for your upcoming meetings during the program. So when it's over, you're not only going to understand how to construct a perfect meeting. By a perfect meeting, it means it's one that ends in a close. How can you construct a perfect meeting, do it every single time, and regardless of all of the insecurities or uncertainties, make sure that you're always on task. So when you leave that meeting, you're not just shrugging your shoulders and saying, I think that went well, they seem pretty friendly. You're actually leaving that meeting with real closes, real commitments to act, and some real clarity on what the next steps are and the meaning of this opportunity in your pipeline. It's a very, very fun, dynamic way of learning how to do what I would argue is the most critical spot of selling, which is the meeting itself.
We required a very specific set of training to come in and facilitate the growth that we were looking for.
The three metrics that we were going after were conversion rates on inbound calls, upsells, which were pre and post trips, and then selling the insurance.
What we were looking for with any type of training program, and what we very happily found with Jeff Hoffman, is the ability to really identify where you can not just take the philosophy of a training, but really go ahead and identify things that our frontline people could grasp immediately and bring right to market.
With Jeff's training, the metrics, we were up 15 and 20% on metrics, but that was translating on a net profit per week of over $200,000 because of the sheer volume that we were getting. And people today, this was 2 years ago, still come up to me and thank me for bringing Jeff in for 2 days.
Great success in the way we were able to implement a specific need and get very quick results on the back end.